It was just another summer morning. The kind where the air already feels heavy before 8 a.m., where the grass looks tired before noon, where everything outside moves slower. But something else was happening that morning, something most people completely missed. In backyards across America, birds were dying. Not from predators, not from disease, not from anything most people would ever think to look for. They were dying from something that happens every single summer in neighborhoods just like yours, while their owners were inside, completely unaware. And the most alarming part? The signs were there the whole time, sitting right outside the window, visible to anyone who knew what to look for. By the time you finish this video, you will never look at a summer heat wave the same way again, and you will never look at your backyard birds the same way either. Because what heat actually does to birds is something most people never learn until it's already too late. Before we go further, if you care about the birds in your yard, hit like right now and subscribe, because what's coming next will completely change how you see summer. Most people think summer is the easy season for birds. Food everywhere, long warm days, bugs flying in every direction. It feels like the most abundant time of year, and in many ways it is. But hidden underneath that abundance is a biological crisis that plays out in backyards across America every single summer in almost complete silence. Here is something most backyard bird owners never consider. A bird's body temperature runs between 104 and 108 degrees Fahrenheit, even on a cool day. Read that again, 104 to 108 degrees. That is their normal, their baseline, the temperature their entire biology is built around. Now imagine what happens when the air around them reaches 95, 100, 105 degrees, when the ground radiates heat upward like an oven floor, when the shade disappears and the sun moves overhead, when the water in their world slowly evaporates. Birds cannot sweat. They have no sweat glands at all. The only way a bird can cool its body is by panting rapidly through an open beak, or finding water to bathe in, or locating deep shade. Take away those three things, and a bird's internal temperature begins rising, slowly at first, then faster, then critically. And what happens when a bird's temperature crosses a certain threshold is something most people have never been told. When a bird overheats, the first thing most people notice is nothing, because the early signs are invisible from a distance. The bird sits very still, wings slightly lifted away from the body, beak open, breathing rapid and shallow. From your window, it might look like the bird is just resting, just enjoying the morning, just pausing between flights. But what is actually happening inside that small body is the beginning of heat stress. The bird's heart is racing. Its cells are demanding more oxygen than normal breathing can provide. Its muscles are beginning to fatigue from the constant effort of panting, and its ability to regulate is starting to fail. In severe heatwave conditions, birds have been found dead on the ground beneath trees, with no visible injuries, no predator, no disease, no storm. Just heat. A Cornell lab study documented significant bird mortality events during extended heat events across the American Southwest. Researchers found birds that had simply run out of options. No water nearby, no adequate shade, no escape from the heat that surrounded them on all sides. And here is what makes this deeply personal. Many of those birds died within yards of backyards that had everything they needed: water, shade, cover. They just couldn't find it in time. But death is only the most extreme outcome, and most of the time what heat does to birds is far more subtle, far more hidden, and in many ways far more alarming to understand. Because heat changes bird behavior in ways that ripple outward, affecting entire populations for seasons to come. Here's the first thing heat does that almost nobody talks about. It disrupts nesting. During a heat wave, parent birds face an impossible choice: leave the nest to find water and food for themselves, or stay on the nest to shade the eggs and chicks from the sun. If they leave, eggs can reach lethal temperatures within 15 minutes of direct sun exposure. Chick body temperature can spike dangerously within minutes. If they stay, the parent bird itself begins overheating, and a parent that overheats cannot feed its young, cannot protect them, cannot survive to raise the next generation. Researchers studying songbird nesting during heat events found something heartbreaking. Nest abandonment rates during heat waves spiked dramatically compared to normal summer temperatures, parents choosing their own survival over eggs that had no chance. A single summer heat wave can eliminate an entire season of chicks in a local bird population, and nobody notices. Because by the time autumn arrives, the missing birds are simply absent, quietly gone, the way things disappear when nobody was watching. But here's what makes this story different from just another alarming statistic, because what happens next involves your yard specifically. Think about your yard on the hottest day of summer. Really picture it. Where is the water? If you have a bird bath, when did you last change it? Because in extreme heat, a bird bath can reach temperatures of 120 to 130 degrees Fahrenheit, sitting in direct afternoon sun. That water isn't refreshing a bird, it's scalding it. And if the water has evaporated entirely, which happens within hours on a 100-degree day, that empty bird bath is actually dangerous because birds will fly toward it from a distance, expending precious energy and body heat in the flight, and arrive to find nothing. That energy expenditure in extreme heat can push an already stressed bird past the point of recovery. Now think about the shade in your yard. Most modern American yards are designed for appearance. Clean lines, open lawn, decorative plants that look beautiful but provide almost no dense canopy shade. Birds need layered shade, deep shade, the kind that exists under dense shrubs and low-hanging branches, the kind where the ground stays cool, even when the air above it is burning. Without that layered shade structure, your yard becomes a heat trap, an open space with no relief. And birds learn this quickly. Within a single heat wave, birds that previously visited your yard regularly will stop coming entirely. Not because they left permanently, but because your yard stopped being a safe place to be. And some of them never recalculate that decision. But here is where this story changes direction, because unlike so many environmental problems, this one has real solutions, immediate solutions, things you can do today, before the next heat event arrives. The first is the simplest thing in the world: fresh water, every day, not every few days, not when you remember, every single morning during summer. Empty the bird bath completely, rinse it, refill it with cool, fresh water. On extreme heat days, do it twice, once in the morning, once in the early afternoon. This single action alone has been documented to dramatically increase bird survival rates in residential areas during heat events. Something so simple, so completely within your control that it almost feels too easy to matter, but it matters enormously. The second thing, shade structure. Even one dense shrub planted near your feeder and bird bath creates a microclimate, a small pocket of cooler air and ground temperature that birds will discover and return to day after day. And the third thing, keep feeding. Many people stop filling feeders in summer, assuming birds have enough natural food available. But a bird burning extra calories through heat stress needs more energy, not less. High-energy foods like black oil sunflower seeds give birds the fuel they need to survive when their body is working overtime just to stay cool. These three things, fresh water daily, shade structure, consistent feeding, can turn your yard from a heat trap into a genuine refuge. The kind birds remember, the kind they return to, the kind that saves lives quietly and invisibly every summer. There's something profound about the relationship between humans and backyard birds. It doesn't ask much from either side. Birds ask for a little water, a little food, a safe place to land, and in return, they give us something that is increasingly rare in modern life, a connection to something living and wild. A morning that sounds like it used to sound, a yard that feels like it has a heartbeat. But that relationship only works when we understand what birds actually need, not what we assume they need, not what feels convenient, what they actually need to survive. The next heat wave is coming. It always comes, and when it arrives, the birds in your neighborhood will be making quiet decisions. Which yards are safe? Which yards have water? Which yards offer shade when the sun is directly overhead? Most yards will fail that test, without anyone ever knowing. The birds will simply redirect, quietly, invisibly, the way birds always do. But some yards will pass. Some yards will become what birds need them to be, and the people in those yards will step outside on the hottest morning of summer and still hear something alive, still see movement in the branches, still feel that quiet, extraordinary thing that happens when a wild creature chooses to be near you. The truth about summer heat waves and birds isn't just alarming, it's a quiet invitation to pay attention, to make small changes that cost almost nothing, and to become the kind of yard that birds remember when everything around them is burning. If this changed how you see summer, share this video with someone who has birds in their yard, because the more people who know this, the more birds survive the next heat event. Like this video if you learned something today. Subscribe and hit the bell, because every week we go deeper into what birds are really experiencing right outside your window. And drop a comment below right now. Do you have a bird bath in your yard, and do you change the water daily? I read every single comment, and your answer matters more than you think.